What is going on, folks? This is Ask the Root. So I'm going to review the supposed debut album of D4L. Now, really, this is not the actual debut album of D4L, but Down for Life was the first album that was really readily available for purchase. But there was another album called Bet You Can't Do It Like Me that came out somewhere in 2005 or 2004 or something. That one's kind of a tougher ticket to find, but I'm eventually going to review that. But this is definitely like a breakout one. The thing about it kind of was is they had a number of hit singles on here, and this was kind of one of the albums responsible for helping popularize like ringtone rap music and snap music and some of that type stuff. It definitely, I mean, they caught a lot of flack just because of like the kind of tackiness, supposedly. I don't think the song is tacky, but the supposed tackiness of Laffy Taffy and like other singles that were just kind of less about lyrics and more about just like having a good time and the downplay of like sheer lyricism. And I kind of respect that more now. I mean, I remember back in the day when this kind of happened, where a lot of people were saying, like, Nas was kind of saying hip hop is dead, and folks like that were kind of dumping on rap and that sort of thing. But I definitely feel like nowadays I kind of miss this assortment of music just because a lot of these grooves are pretty damn good. And I think that that's the concept about it. You can't deny the fact that this is a great album to get crunk to dance to have women twerk to flirt to, and just to overall bump and grind and move around and just have some smoke sessions and just overall good gigs overall. And that's just kind of the thing. This was intended for the most part. I mean, it's kind of almost chopped down the middle, but I kind of feel like the concept behind it is that basically a little bit over half the time is a pretty thorough party record. Has great dance club and strip club kind of cuts on here, but it doesn't do as much as far as trying to establish other things. So this is not like a complete out of the park kind of album, but it is pretty relatively good. I definitely, it's better. It's not a one hit wonder. And even though they only had one other song chart ever besides Laffy Taffy, I still feel like there's a lot to respect on this project. And looking back, this was kind of a staple, at least in like a subgenre of snap music and ringtone music. And if you're just looking for memes, hookiness, and party records, this album pretty much has that more than a few times. That's just kind of the thing about it. I definitely respect the quotient here of these guys. You know, it's just it has some overall good feels towards it. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the singles. So the first single is Laffy Taffy, and chances are, depending upon your age, you probably heard this song at one point or the other. This is definitely like a very popular ringtone song. Has a very simple beat, but it's catchy as fuck. Definitely one that's just extremely catchy and just has like that 1, 2, 3 kind of beat to it. It's just kind of that's just it has that same beat loop, but it just doesn't get old. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's a quick beat loop. It doesn't really go that extreme, but it just is really kind of catchy and just exuberant. Just a great dance club song, easy song to get women to twerk to, especially depending upon their age and such. Just very popular dance cut. I'm actually surprised that this song isn't more popular on like TikTok and stuff. I'm surprised that this hasn't reached like some sort of explosion on TikTok as far as that actively kind of goes, to see a bunch of people doing that. But I mean, I know that TikTok is pretty much people underneath like the age of like 29, 30, 28 or so, but I still feel like, you know, the respect of what this song did would have a lot larger kind of gallop to it. And I think yeah, this is just a great dance club. Yeah, this is just a great dance club cut. Definitely would have to say, definitely deserved to hit number one. Very catchy. Fabo completely steals the show on this song and just really is executed that well. Fabo really has some great energy. Depending upon what version you get, Fabo also has real catchy kind of ad lib in there where he goes, Candy Girl. And it just, I mean, not every version. The version of the album that I bought does not have that version, but it is on the Spotify version. But there's just some stuff on here that kind of works with it. It's a real kind of catchy song, great for the dance club even today. I think this is one that deserves to get more spins. So it was kind of a signature song in some ways of the 2000s, even despite the fact that it got a lot of flack. But it's just not lyrical, but who cares, you know? So the second single was Bet You Can't Do It Like Me. And this one is kind of in the same vein as Laffy Taffy. I'm definitely glad that they tried to capitalize on this snap rap and kind of dance music, kind of snap type music that needed to happen. But unfortunately, it just could not quite deliver to the sheer degree of Laffy Taffy. And I think the reason why is just because Laffy Taffy's just beat is just leagues better. I think Laffy Taffy's beat is just leagues better. It's not to say that Bet You Can't Do It Like Me is bad, but it's just kind of the concept that it just is easily kind of like if Laffy Taffy's beat's like a 10 out of 10, I would say Bet You Can't Do It Like Me is like a 6.5 or a 7 at best. It just really, I mean, it's the same kind of energy, but it's just not quite as up tempo. It's kind of more high mid tempo, but Fabo, on top of that, Fabo goes first like he does on Laffy Taffy, but he doesn't quite steal the show as well as he did on Laffy Taffy. And I think just when people saw just how crazy that song got, I think when, not to say anything against Fabo, but just to kind of say when the energy of that song just did not live up to the sheer kind of pungent. I mean, all three of the rappers, Shoddy Low is not on uh, Shoddy Low is not on Laffy Taffy, but Mook B and Stony, all three of them just did excellent on the song in addition to Fabo, and just kind of had great magnetic energy, but it just didn't quite deliver as highly on Bet You Can't Do It Like Me. Now, I think the song is great. I will say Bet You Can't Do It Like Me, to me, is an excellent follow up. It's just kind of a song that I would recommend for people who are obsessed with Laffy Taffy or at least like snap rap and that kind of music. I mean, it's not as addictive, but it's at least a placeholder to be able to say that instead of getting bored in 4 or 5 minutes, you now get bored in 8 or 9 minutes, just as far as that kind of goes. But it's just kind of, I mean, it's just something to kind of fill up the places as far as trying to have more kind of stuff for folks that need some dance club kind of cuts. It's definitely something dance clubs can have like snap rap music in there and have more songs to play than just Laffy Taffy because that's like the passe and kind of stereotypical thing to do is just play Laffy Taffy, but it would surprise a few folks, despite the fact that the energy is a little bit more mellow, to play Bet You Can't Do It Like Me. But it's just kind of, that's just the thing about it. I mean, it didn't chart horribly well. It hit like 72 on the Billboard 100, maybe 62, one of the two, but it is a quality hit. It's just not. It's just Laffy Taffy was a #1 single, and that's just the concept behind it. But it is like a good 1-2 punch as far as that kind of goes. So talk about the rest of this album. To talk about the rest of this album, I'm going to go ahead and recommend the 8 songs out of 14 I recommend to you. So those 8 songs would be What Can You Do, Do It Like Me, Baby, Scotty, Bet You Can't Do It Like Me, Laffy Taffy, Make It Rain, Diggin' Me, and Get Real Low. So, so basically, there's a couple of strip club songs on here, and I really feel like Get Real Low and Make It Rain are both very exuberant ones for doing that, particularly Make It Rain. This one just feels like a crazy night where you're kind of walking around, just kind of having a good time mingling with people. Too Short really fits on the song extremely well. And then I would also have to say these cats named Sweets and Cool Ace seem interesting enough, but as is kind of the thing on here. This is an easy kind of just regular night at the strip club. Not so much like it doesn't have to be like an extreme kind of twerk song, but just music for like the strip club just to kind of relax and kind of get like some chicken wings or that type stuff and some beer and some of those type things just to kind of have that groove, just kind of more mingling and dap kind of song. This really works as far as that goes. It's pretty cool that Too Short wound up on here. And then Get Real Low is kind of more of like a dance song. It's just more for women kind of dancing. I just kind of feel like, so yeah, Get Real Low is more of a dance song for the women. Definitely one I would recommend getting some females to get up and dance to. It just has kind of more of like a kind of mid-tempo kind of energy towards it. It's just kind of airy and kind of more like just not so much as crunchy as like Laffy Taffy or Bet You Can't Do It Like Me, but it's just kind of more of a breezy and kind of like aired out kind of song as far as that kind of goes with Get Real Low. But it just, I like the breeziness of it. It's just kind of nice one for women to dance to. And then Diggin' Me is kind of more of like this one's kind of like a slow jam almost, kind of more kind of, and then Diggin' Me is kind of like a more slow jam, kind of grizzly kind of song. It just kind of really feels like a nice growly kind of grizzly kind of song just for like I do think it's kind of a flirty kind of song, kind of like Bet You Can't Do It Like Me and Laffy Taffy, but just a little bit more like focused on like flirting more so than dancing. I just would have to say I look after that concept. It's just a real grizzly kind of song, and it's more of like I do see it as kind of like a slow dance, not quite as ravenous kind of energy as Laffy Taffy or the singles, but I do look after it. It just has like a nice context to kind of get that. So these are just some good, like I feel like Digging Me is definitely a house party song, and so is Get Real Low, but Get Real Low can also be a strip club song. And then Do It Like Me, Baby. I mean, the thing about this album is it kind of goes between like club music and house party music. It is because D4L was such a low key kind of rap group to begin with. A lot of these, yeah, they can be played in a club or a dance club, but they can also be played at a house party where there's, of course, dancing and just smoking and flirting and that type of stuff. It just kind of has that context as far as being able to say that it does it with the variety that I'm just glad that these sorts of moments, or it's not just like if you're stuck at the house or something like that, that's really that much of a problem that you can't get down to some of this music. It does it pretty well, and I just would have to say it's pretty skilled at being able to pull off some of these cuts. That's kind of how I feel with that's definitely how I feel with songs like What Can You Do and Do It Like Me Baby, which I really like the kind of belly, kind of quick pace. I really like the kind of belly, quick pace kind of song of What Can You Do. This is a decent follow up to Laffy Taffy. This is the next song you're going to hear after Laffy Taffy, and I definitely feel like just another crunchy kind of club cut in a lot of ways. But I would just have to say that it does have some pretty up tempo kind of energy, nice real rave energy, but it's just not quite as catchy as Laffy Taffy. But it is a good album cut. If I would have had to have picked the third single, I probably would have went with "Do It Like Me, Baby." I think this one really works pretty well. This one just has like the most dance ready kind of energy. To me, this probably should have had a music video for it. Just kind of works like pretty damn well as far as that kind of goes. This kind of has like this blurry kind of. This one just kind of feels blurry, like you're smoking in VIP, that type of stuff. Just smoking at the house, some of those type ones. Like I said, all these songs kind of blur between either dance club or just house party, that type of stuff. But these are just great kind of movement, kind of body in motion kind of songs, smoking, that type of stuff. This kind of works for that. Scotty's a nice pull-up song. Like I talked about this when I reviewed Jeezy's mixtape last month, which I originally thought that this was just a Fabo mixtape song, but I didn't realize it was actually off of Fabo, the album that Fabo was on. This album, Down for Life. So it's just kind of interesting. It's just called Scotty. On Jeezy's album, it was called Spaceships on Bankhead, but it's just kind of it's called Scotty, and yeah, this is just a nice kind of pulling up to like a house party or a club type song. This definitely kind of has that kind of slow groove in a car kind of energy, just kind of more stunting. I would even take like the initial getting out of the vehicle, getting dapped from some of your buddies, that kind of stuff, this kind of the opening kind of acquaintancing type stuff that kind of goes along with it, just that sort of thing. This kind of a nice kind of receptive kind of song in a lot of ways. I just like the concept behind it. Definitely a nice smoking song too, I just would have to say. I think that about takes care of it. So to talk about some of the songs I didn't like, I think the real problem I had with this project is just its lack of ability to really nail like album cuts really well. I mean, I don't want to say that this was kind of like predisposed, but I do think the concept about it was it just felt like this band was really just supposed to be like kind of like I don't want to say so much a gimmick because there is some talent on here, but it just kind of felt like it was simply strictly subgenre kind of music. Like it was just meant to be ringtone rap and snap music, and when they tried to do other things and flesh out as to whether or not they would have dropped more albums and really expanded further, it just didn't deliver as well. Like Bankhead was kind of just too abrasive a song, didn't quite work as well. It was just kind of clumsy in its execution. And Stuntman, I didn't really like the beat on there. Front Street really had kind of a cruddy kind of beat. It was just not that well executed. Um, Shitting Me was just kind of one of these ones that was trying to try more of like standard trap music, and I'm the Man was trying to do that too. That was a decent beat on there. Shoddy Low kind of did a decent time with it, but it just didn't quite pull it off nearly as well as I would have liked for it to. I mean, it was just kind of, I feel like, Shoddy Low was trying to make, when Shoddy Low kind of went in his solo career in 2008, he was trying to really space himself from doing snap rap, and if you'll notice, a lot of these kind of dance music and snap type tunes that are on here, like, or some of these songs like Laffy Taffy and What Can You Do and Do It Like Me Baby, like Shoddy Low's really not even on these, and he wasn't really trying to do snap rap that much when he dropped his 2008 album, but it just didn't quite have the context of really been able to pick up. It just really stuck out like a sore thumb. If it had been a little bit more party oriented and been a little bit more lighthearted, I probably would have liked I'm Demand, but it just kind of came off like the energy compared to like the vivid vibes that they were trying to have on this project just didn't add up to like the package that should have been with it. I just feel like I don't want to say that they should have stuck with the theme, but this is kind of like a dichotomy of kind of saying, hey, we're kind of trap rappers, but then we're also kind of, we can do this snap and dance kind of music. But I feel like the dance music just soared and they just nailed it. Pretty much every song that they did in the snap rap kind of vibe kind of nailed it. It just kind of happened to be the thing. But and even I would say some strip club songs on here work pretty well also. So that just kind of happens to be a thing. But it's just kind of a disappointment that they couldn't have some more angles, because I'm trying to think of some folks, like a lot of these snap rap rappers like Shop Boys and Dem Franchise Boys, and some of them, they can do their dance music really well, but they just did not have the ability to do songs like T.I. or Jeezy did, like Trap Star or You Don't Know Me, or like It's Going Down by Young Jock, or just some of those type ones. It just seemed like they really struggled to kind of get some of those moments, and it's just not quite as uh like effective. I mean, they tried, and it's fine that they tried, but it just did not have like the pungentness at the dance club. I definitely feel like this is more, far more of just like a party record than like a trap record in a lot of ways. It just kind of happens to be a thing. So that's just kind of the concept. So me liking 8 records out of 14, I'm gonna go ahead and give this album a 6.5 out of 10. I feel like that's solid enough. But the thing about it is it didn't really. I feel like this is kind of an underwhelming project in terms of the promotional cycle, just because I think it's quality and there's definitely records on here to promote and have a lot of fun to. It's just the concept that if folks are just looking for something, that this is like the number ones, the number 10s, the number 15s, and that type of stuff, this record's just not going to have it. I mean, there's so many folks that I can see saying that this record is just a one-hit wonder because of Laffy Taffy, but the thing about it is if you look deeper, you will definitely find way more than that. That just kind of happens to be a thing. Bet You Can't Do It Like Me is a pretty solid follow up. It may not be as infectiously kind of capturing as Laffy Taffy, but it does do its service. And there are other gems on here like Do It Like Me, Baby, Make It Rain, Digging Me, Get Real Low. Just plenty of those. That's just kind of the whole concept, just being able to say this is a really fun record and it has more energy than a lot of albums have that are supposedly classics in rap music. I don't agree with it, but that's just kind of the thing. So to talk about the social score, I'm going to go ahead and give the social score like an 8 out of 10, just because more than half the album kind of does it. And there's even some songs that I didn't enjoy, like Bankhead, and some of those that kind of have like a more kind of pulsating kind of vibe towards them. So it's really about nine or so or 10 9 or so or 10 songs out of 14 that kind of have like that kind of particular vibe about it, that just has more of like a dance club and kind of house party kind of setting in a lot of ways. So it just does its justice for that. But I just would have to say the social score definitely gets an 8. Definitely kind of little, definitely a pretty superb house party and kind of bop, social kind of bop, and nice dap kind of song in that sort of sense. This has its gems in there. But in terms of the future, like this is about it. D4L is not coming back. Shawty Low is deceased, unfortunately. And I just would have to say that it's really too bad that we didn't get any further records from these guys. Because I would have definitely liked another D4L album just to see what they could have done, with snap rap music and more things like that. It would have definitely been good to have gotten some follow ups to like Laffy Taffy and Bet You Can't Do It Like Me.